Hello and welcome back to coverage here at GP Dallas Fort Worth. I'm Marshall Sutcliffe. I'm in the booth with Paulo Vitor Dominaria, and we are ready for round 6 action. It is win and in time. Of course, that means that the winner of this match will secure day 2. Now they're going to have to play out the rest of their rounds to see how good their record is going into day 2, but it's always nice to secure it. Seth Manfield, somehow 5-0, playing with Sarah Disciple in his deck. Leads off with it on turn 2 here. Mike, though, has the answer.
Yeah,
She's on fire.
Interesting. I'm looking at Mike's deck. He has 2 main deck copies of Radium Lightning. So he has a lot of incidental ways to deal with that Sarah's Disciple. So probably doesn't have one in hand. I should have fired that. But I would be very tempted to just leave that guy in there.
Let it
take
stay.
6 damage from it.
Seriously.
And then eventually just kill it. Yeah.
I would too.
Because like if it...
But yeah, it is kind of funny that we've got Seth Manfield right now playing Sarah Disciple and then Board the Weatherlight as he looks down at his match slip that says that he has yet to lose a match yet here in this tournament.
I think that card should be in his hand, right?
Wait, why is Danica the Capuchin in the graveyard?
Look, we know the card is bad, but it's not that bad. The Board the Weatherlight.
Yeah. There we go, buddy. How is he 5-0 playing Board the Weatherlight and just putting it into his graveyard?
I mean, he has good cards too.
Shocking behavior.
Yeah, I don't normally like Board the Weatherlight, but Seth has 2 Elders Reborn, which is a very good card to search for. He has Yawgmoth's Foul Offering, which is probably the best card in his pool, and then he has a couple legends he has to find. So if you're trying to find specific legends such as Shalai, then it's a good card.
Yeah. So here's Shalai, Voice of Plenty for Seth Manfield. And boy, he's just right off to it because now Mike has real pressure. He has hit land number 4, but he's going to need to find an answer, and he has it. Fight with Fire, one of the best answers for Shalai, and Shalai's going to hit the graveyard there, so Mike can actually breathe a sigh of relief. Danica the Capuchin is going to be the follow-up play here for Seth. A fine card, but realistically she gets outclassed pretty quickly without some help.
Yeah, it's just still pretty strong.
Agree.
It's only a 3-drop. It does so much. There's so many abilities.
By the way, there's that Radiant Lightning.
Yep.
You know what would be nice right now? Shivan Fire.
Oh, what would you do?
Oh, man. Looks like Seth is just going to go ahead and attack into a Keldon Raider.
Yeah, when there are 2 copies of Fungal Infection in Seth's deck, of course Mike doesn't know that.
Right. But there are, and Fungal Infection, a beautiful way to take care of that Raider. First strike from Danica the Capuchin is going to deal lethal to the 4-3 and even leave Seth Manfield with a Saproling token left over. Jousting Lance just sitting on the battlefield for Mike has yet to be equipped.
Is that Siege Gang Commander?
Oh,
yeah, yes it is.
Good eye, Paulo. Siege Gang Commander. Best rare in the set. It's on the list.
It's definitely on the list.
And 3 Goblin Friends are going to join old Siege Gang here, and Seth Manfield's going to need to find an answer because that is the type of card that can mow down his board no problem.
I'm looking at lists. Mike's deck is so good. He has 2 copies of Fight with Fire, a Siege Gang Commander, Karn, Territorial Allosaurus, and Tame Kavu, many of Dominaria.
Oh, so my God.
Yeah, it's really, really strong.
That is dreamy. Seth Manfield, by the way, immediately attacks with Danica and the Saproling. Just says, you're not blocking.
Yeah, he was right.
And he was right. Because Mike is incentivized to keep the Siege Gang Commander alive, but also to keep the Goblins alive.
Yeah, you definitely don't want to trade a Saproling for a Goblin in a spot like this. And you don't want to risk your Siege Gang. Like, until at least you've killed that Danica. Then you can block with it. When you have open mana.
Well, Stronghold Confessor here for Seth Manfield. Not a particularly strong card, but it's a fine play. It does survive 1 activation from the Siege Gang Commander. It has that going for it.
Yeah, it's pretty good in this board. I mean, it does still trade with the token with the lens in it, but... that's an investment. But I think there's a Mending of Dominaria in Mike's hand. There's a Saga. I think that's the only one he has. So even if the Siege Gang dies now, it will just come back.
Goodness sakes. Recurring Siege Gang Commanders. I don't care who you are. Even if you're number one in the world like Seth is, that is going to be extremely difficult to beat. Mike is going to favor mana efficiency and a strong play. A Mammoth Spider is going to hit the battlefield here for passing the turn back. Let's not forget, Mike's at 17, right? He's not under some dire straits. He can take a little bit of time and kind of leverage the Siege Gang commander.
Yeah, he for sure can.
Seth has got to be in a world of trouble. He has 2 copies of the Eldest Reborn.
Yeah, they're not great here.
Looks pretty bad.
If there's Jagmoth's Final Offering that he can play, that would be pretty good. Getting back his Shalai and killing the Siege Gang.
Oh, yeah. Instead, it's Arvad the Cursed. That is now a 4/4. And he figures, well, I can just attack and gain 4 life.
Yeah, he has First Strike, so it can't really be blocked.
Yeah.
I mean, it has to be blocked by the Spider.
I mean, you just have to block, right?
He took it?
Wait, what?
An unconventional line. I think he was just he was marking down something. I think he was just marking down a Seth gain for. I don't believe.
Oh, you think he verbalized that he blocked and then? Whoa!
Well,
Nope.
apparently not.
He took it.
Oh wow!
I think that was just an oversight for Mike. Because of course the reason that we're saying all this is Seth is tapped out. There's no more mana available.
Yeah, and he's already played a land.
Right.
So.
All right. Well, back to business here. Mike is going to throw away 2 of his Goblin tokens right at Arvad the Cursed face. And those are going to get the job done. Arvad down. That, of course, makes Daneth the Capuchin much smaller as well. Well, this does get a little bit interesting. Mike's down to 13. Seth still with no real pressure at the moment. And there's Partic Wanderer for Seth Manfield. The hits keep coming. I mean, he did start this game out with Shalai, a bit of a home run.
Oh, yeah. I mean, he has played good cards. Shalai, Danita, Arat, those are all good. They're just aren't Siege Gang good. Well, Siege Gang hasn't done that much yet. Like, the 5/5 Trampler, or the Partic Wanderer, is actually a pretty decent answer to it.
Mike is actually from the Dallas-Fort Worth area. His highest finish at a GP thus far was GP Memphis, where he finished 18th, a solid finish. Did that with mono white humans that Tom Ross used to win back-to-back Star City game opens. And Mike also has a couple of kids at home.
Huh.
Got away to battle some Magic this weekend.
So now the Spider can actually trade with the Partic Wanderer if Seth decides to attack. I'm guessing that SF has nothing. He might want to make that trade anyway because the Spider is stopping the Stronghold Confessor, but...
Feel like Mike wouldn't hate that either.
Yeah, I think Mike is fine with anything that doesn't involve his life total falling dangerously low or all his permanents being destroyed or something apocalyptic like that because he has so many cards in hand.
And plus he has the way to get back some creatures as well.
Yeah.
Call the Cavalry here for Manfield. It looks like Mike thought, oh, this has got to be Eviscerate. And he was grabbing that Spider. But no, it is not. It's just 2 more 2/2s.
Eviscerate would have been great here.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, but instead Seth's going to build out his board, and Mike is going to use that last token from Siege Gang Commander to kill Daneth the Capuchin. And boy, the thing did work. It killed Arvad and Daneth the Capuchin, and he still has the Siege Gang Commander itself for 2 more damage if he'd like. Get the old 2.5 for 1 out of the deal if he wants.
Yeah, he also has a Gito Curling Clearing hand that he can use to rebuy the Fight with Fire to then kill the Partic Wanderer, but...
He's just going to keep on building his board out. Untamed Kavu is going to be the play for Mike Izinski.
That's interesting. He could have played that last turn. He chose to equip the Lance instead and have the 2 leftover mana to because I assume he drew Forest this turn, right? He's been stuck on lands.
Oh, there's an eviscerate now, though, from Manfield. But Mike still has this spider. And looks like Seth is lining up potentially a very big attack here.
Yeah, if Seth just attacks with everything, it's mostly fine. I guess the 1-1 doesn't have to attack, but...
He's decided to leave the 1-1 back. So Mike's going to make the most obvious block, which is a trade and a trade, having him take 5 damage. Ooh, so I spoke too soon. Fungal infection number 2 is going to shrink down the mammoth spider and mean that the Partick Wanderer gets to survive. It's a big swing.
And now Mike has no time to play many of Dominaria.
Uh-oh, he's down to 7. Gosh, has this one actually slipped away fully from Mike Izinski?
It seems to have.
Goodness sakes. I mean, he played 5-drop, 5-drop, 5-drop this game.
Yeah, he skipped a turn to equip a lance.
Yeah.
Which might not have been the best.
Yeah, looking back, that might be bad.
But yeah, it's tough for him. Seth just had the cheap combat tricks. You know, Seth's been playing 2 spells a lot. And Mike's been playing 1. And his 1 spells haven't been enough better, I guess.
He's going to pick up his cards. Gosh, Seth Manfield. You know, it's interesting because there was just a couple of little missteps there from Mike, right? We had the no block with the spider to take 4 damage that he didn't need to take.
Yeah, that is true.
That you know, being an 11 there would have given him another turn.
Well, and the thing is, if he is on 4 extra life, maybe he can just block a 2/2 token with his spider instead of the Partick Wanderer, which means he doesn't get blown out by fungal infection.
Yep.
So that mistake, it definitely compounded into... We don't know how the game would have played out, but we know that Mike had in his hand many of Dominaria and Gitu Chronicler.
Mm-hmm.
So he definitely had the resources. He only had to do was buy time.
And, of course, that's one of the things that maybe is a little underrated about top-level players, like honestly you, Paulo, and also Seth Manfield, is the ability to take advantage of opponents' missteps, mistakes, or, you know, suboptimal plays on some level. I mean, Seth played quite a few cards there that weren't so great, right? I mean...
Yeah.
You know, not exactly powerhouses. Now, he also had some very good cards as well. It wasn't like nothing. But he really maneuvered his way through that mid to late game and took advantage of anything that he could to try to finish the game off, even though if you just only looked at Mike's side of the battlefield, I mean, that one turn that he equipped the lance was not super exciting. But boy, he played Mammoth Spider, he kicked a Kavu, he played a Siege Gang Commander, he killed 2 creatures with it, both of them legendary, you know, good cards. It didn't matter.
Yeah, for sure. No, he was definitely doing things.
Yeah.
It's not like he just rolled over and died. You know, he was doing things, but Seth was doing, I guess, better things, more things.
More
yeah,
things?
more than better, I would say.
Mm-hmm. So Seth, 1 game away here on winning in from securing that day 2. But anybody who watches a lot of GP coverage with us knows that day 2 isn't really the goal for a top-level player. With 3 buys coming in, it's kind of expected to make day 2 and a major disappointment if you don't. Like to the level of calling the airlines and saying, can I get a flight home tomorrow?
Yeah, and, you know, especially at 5-0, both those players, they have to be feeling that day 2 is the least they can do.
Yeah.
You know, they won't be happy with just day 2. And if you were 3-2, you're like, yay, day 2, you know, but...
But this is how it goes. Mike sits down at 5-0, doing really well at the GP here. But he's running into the buzzsaw. That's Seth Manfield, currently ranked number 1 in the entire world at Magic.
Yeah, it's not very easy to do.
No.
There's only one person.
Yeah. Very difficult to reach that top uppermost tier, but Seth has had it a lot.
Oh, yeah, he's been first for a while now.
Yeah,
since he won the PT, he's been first, but he was also first a couple seasons ago for a very long time until Owen came in and snatched the title from him in the very last PT with a top 8. But yeah, I feel like I've played a lot of my seasons of Magic thinking that, Seth Manfield is currently the front runner for a player there. Someone has to catch him. But he's being first a lot. He's being the person to be caught a lot. But yeah, as far as decks are concerned, I think I really have to favor not Seth's deck, Michael's deck. I think his cards are just better. Maybe Seth will come out fast out of the gates and have some good tricks again. But if things work out for both players, I think Mike has the advantage.
I like Mike's start a little better here. He's got Llanowar Elves versus a Serra Disciple.
Yeah, and interesting that Mike chose to draw. It's something we've seen a decent amount in this format, I think. Way more than in past Still formats, at least. It's just people choosing to draw. Oh, wow, no attack from Mike. So he's fearing Gideon's Reproach, probably, which probably means he has a 5-drop he wants to play next turn.
Yeah, I wouldn't be surprised. We did see 3 powerful 5-drops from Mike in that previous game. And 2 of them green. And there it is, Untamed Kavu. So turn 4, kicked Untamed Kavu is a real handful for Manfield. This is kind of one of those eviscerate or no scenarios. And it turns out, eviscerate, yes. Manfield has it. Snaps off that Kavu, sends it packing, and even gets in for 4 damage. Mike's already down to 14.
Yeah, Mike found his first mountain, so he can do with it. He has Siege Gang in hand, but still can't cast that.
Yeah, needs another mountain. Warcry Phoenix is the best he can do. Okay. It does potentially tussle. Oh, interesting. Another no attack there from the elf. Perhaps a card like, what? I don't know. Gift of Growth, maybe?
Could have that.
Ooh, Helm of the Host now for Manfield. That, of course, is a historic spell, so the Serra Disciple is going to be a bit bigger. And we're just going to see a double block from Mike. Double block, I should say, from Mike.
Yeah, you should definitely put the elf first there because of their ease of growth. Then you can't save the elf. Whereas if you put the Phoenix first, the growth will save both creatures. But
and that is what he did. Of course, Seth Manfield, careful to leave that swamp available to at least threaten a fungal infection. But Mike felt like he wasn't in a position where he could play around it. And now the mini game is on. Does Mike have a way to deal with Helm of the Host? He says, I'm going to play a Mammoth Spider. Does that count?
For now, yeah.
But I wouldn't be surprised to see Seth just equip here if he wants to make a bunch of Serra Disciples, because you know what they say, make hay while the sun's shining. And boy, this is a nice opportunity to do that. And there we go. Helm of the Host is now online and spewing out creatures once per turn. And the clock is very real now. Mike has to deal with this creature or the Helm of the Host itself, ideally, or this game is going to absolutely get away.
Yeah, I don't believe he can deal with Helm of the Host.
Uh-oh. Like, at all?
At all.
Oh,
he has 2 copies of Radiant Lightning in his deck, so that would deal with all the tokens as well. In this particular case. Until Seth plays a 2-2 and starts copying that instead, and then you're in more trouble.
Right. Seth had a cool 20 life here. Certainly has time. That is a pretty cool helmet, actually.
Yeah, it kind of is.
I never noticed really what was going on there, but it looks heavy.
It does look very heavy. But I assume it's like all the tokens are helping you carry it. Like
yeah, that's true. That's a good point.
You're only one of those. The rest are the copies.
You get to copy their neck as well as their head and the rest of them.
Yeah.
Well, you know what they say, heavy lies the crown. But once again, Manfield going to go to combat, which is when he's going to get another copy of Serra Disciple. And boy, even with the card as manageable as Serra Disciple, this is going to start getting completely out of hand from Mike's perspective.
Yeah,
how he's going to beat this.
At some point, Seth is just going to play a historic spell and attack for 9.
Yeah.
Well, there it is. 2 mana, shuffle your library.
Let's see.
Yeah. You know, it can always play Gaia's Blasting. At least it draws a card while it shuffles your library.
And actually shuffles your library. Oh, my goodness. It's like every time you said that, they've whiffed. I just put a card on the bottom. It's so brutal. Is that Sylvan Awakening in hand for Mike?
Yeah, it is.
Wait, he's going to play it now?
Oh, wow. That's just a fog. But I don't believe Seth would even attack.
No.
I mean, maybe Seth would.
I mean, Mike can attack for 8, but so? Seth can double block one land, just kill it.
Well, they gain destructible.
Oh, yeah, of course they do.
So that's a pretty
No, I forgot about that.
bad double block because both tokens will die.
Yeah.
What is happening?
I don't think Seth remembered either. I think he did the... Yeah, now he's going to see, though. Whoop!
Okay, that's good.
Yeah, Seth and I both forgot Indestructible for a minute there. But in the meantime, Mike just uses this as Fireball for 8 damage, but that's not what this game's about.
No, it really isn't. I mean, it's Equalizer both at 12. I guess Seth could attack now if Seth has nothing going on.
Huh. Yeah, I still like Seth's position here.
Oh, you have to.
Yeah. That was a pretty good U-turn from Manfield. Picks up the card. Whoa! Let's bring these back. Uh-oh. Shalai, Voice of Plenty, has arrived. Let's move Helm of the Host over there.
Yeah, they're better Hawks.
Yeah.
Seth could attack here.
Now, they would give each other hexproof as well, right? Like, once he gets a copy.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah. So it would be basically game. I mean, I don't understand.
Oh, yeah, sorry, that is Shalai. I thought it was Tashar. The pictures are really similar.
Yeah, they are very similar.
Yes, if you move the helm over there, then everything has hexproof, and that game's over.
Yeah, that game's definitely over, yeah. So we'll see if Mike opens the door for that. In the meantime, Seth does sacrifice one of his 1/1 flyers because they're all 2/2s.
Yeah, well, the one that came into play right now is a 1/1 because he didn't get, but yeah. Yeah, this is what if I'm Mike, I might just block the 2/2 because I have 2 Radiant Lightnings in my deck that will get rid of the 1/1s eventually, and I just want to stop more future damage. But with that Shalai over there, this is his last turn to kill it. If he doesn't kill that Shalai now, I believe he cannot win the game.
He's just going to play a Siege Gang Commander. That is not nearly enough.
No, it isn't. I mean, he might just be dead now.
Yeah, it's
he
funny.
He won't be dead now because of the spider, but
it's crazy. You don't hear that very often, but Siege Gang Commander just not good enough. Sometimes that happens, I guess.
Yeah, we also saw a feature match a while ago where a player played the Sphinx, saw Siege Gang on top, had 5 lands, and just went straight to the bottom because it just wasn't good enough.
Oh
yeah.
My God. It certainly hasn't been my experience in the format thus far, but it does happen occasionally. Siege Gang's kind of a deceptive card in that way.
Oh, it's certainly very, very good.
Yeah, it's super great, but often it doesn't kill you. It's something else that ends up killing you, but you had to use so much.
Well, the thing is that our
expectations... Is that Yawgmoth's Vile Offering?
Oh, yeah, it is.
Oh, my goodness.
So I assume that has to mean Seth has enough damage here.
Yeah, he must just have lethal.
It's a historic spell.
Right. So that's 2, 4...
Yeah, he has 10 damage in the
5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, yeah.
Oh, 11, or 12, rather, with that Phoenix.
Oh, he got the Phoenix back, too? Yeah, great. Yeah, one of the disciples is going to be, or Sarah disciples is going to be a little bit smaller, but whatever. Plenty enough in the air.
Yeah, it's 12 in the air. It's more than enough.
Yep, and Seth Manfield has put together a 2-0 victory here over Mike Izinski. And Mike just goes, really, man? I just played Siege Gang. Have you not read what this does? I'm supposed to win off of this. So, number 1 stays that way. He is now 6-0 out on the field, and again, has locked up his slot in day number 2. Welcome back to the booth here at GP Dallas Fort Worth. That's Paulo Vitor, Dominaria, Marshall Cycler. Thanks so much for coming along for coverage here of Dominaria Limited for you draft junkies. Tomorrow, we're going to be drafting. Today, we get to see a much different format. The sealed format for Dominaria is significantly slower than the draft one plays out. It's kind of cool. It gives us 2 different looks at the way that these can go. And, of course, we're going to actually get an interview here with Seth Manfield in a minute. We can ask him what does it feel like to always be number one in the world, since he never seems to give that up, at least of late. And we'll be chatting with him. So you think of questions for him, too. We can ask him questions about the game or the match specifically, or anything bigger picture. Maybe you can even leverage your coverage position here to get some secrets out of him.
Oh, nice. Where are you going to play next PG set?
Yeah, there you go. See if he falls for that one. And we're getting him set up for that. Again, we're playing Dominaria Limited all day today. Today's sealed, and then tomorrow it's going to be booster draft. But it sounds like we've got Seth all mic'd up down in the feature match here. Seth Manfield, how goes, friend? I'm Marshall Sutcliffe with Paulo Vitor Dominarosa in the booth.
Hey, how's it going, guys? Did you enjoy watching that one?
Oh, we loved it. Paulo's kind of been joking around about Board the Weather Light today. He says you get to, shuffle 5 cards and put them on the bottom of your library. And that happened for you a couple of times. How's that card been for you today?
It did. I've whiffed for it. I've whiffed on it, I think, twice now on camera.
You have.
So, yeah, it's been weird. It's a weird card. Like, I'm not sure what the exact number of targets you need in your deck for it. Mm-hmm. I think I have around 10, but, like, they're a lot of my best cards, right? So, like, that you're going to whiff on it sometimes, but at the same time, if you're whiffing on it, you're putting lands and stuff that probably doesn't matter that much. So that's also not like a huge. I mean, it's not good that you obviously want to find something with it, but I think it's a white-black card. Like, I don't think I've seen it in any other decks. Normally, if I'm drafting, I just have trouble getting enough legendary creatures and things of that nature to actually play it, but in sealed, I happen to have the white-black deck with enough targets, so or in my mind, enough targets. So yeah.
No, it does seem to be pretty good, and like you said, some of your best cards really do lie on that top end. And I'm going to ask you a question, Seth, that's going to tell us a lot about you as a person. Okay, so you found the win that last turn, right? You were able to piece together a bunch of triggers on those Sarah's Disciples and get it in the air with a bunch of creatures and finish them. Were you a little bummed when you found that line because it means you didn't get to put Helm of the Host on your Shalai?
I was not bummed.
I knew he wouldn't be.
But that would have been really cool, like the whole like hexproof thing to just basically go crazy. I wasn't even really thinking about it at the time, but I was just kind of hoping that he didn't have a removal spell for Shalai, because I had the black legendary sorcery, and so I knew that if Shalai stayed in play and I was able to cast that, I was so far ahead that it was just going to be game over. But his deck seemed sweet. He stumbled a little bit. The Siege Gang Commander in game 1 tripped me up a little bit because I had to basically fight through all of these goblins getting sacrificed, which was not something I was happy about. But I actually drew the removal spell like right like I needed one, and then I drew one right when I needed it. So
welcome to the world of Seth Manfield.
Yeah.
Still, that was really impressive. I mean, when you look back, you beat Siege Gang Commander both of those games. I mean, you had me saying something I didn't think I was going to be saying in the booth. Your opponent plays Siege Gang and you just killed him. I'm like, Siege Gang Commander's not nearly enough here.
Yeah, I was under the impression that Siege Gang Commander was at least decent in this format, but I've never seen it do well. I think that I heard the Peach Garden Oath had like 3 or something, and they didn't do well with that. So
we're off of Siege Gang. That's the
I'm gonna switch over from playing it in limited. I'm just gonna try it now in mono red, Godfar's Gift and standard. That way I can play my Skirk Prospectors and things with it. So.
Oh man, Paulo was going to try to ask you what you were going to play at the PT, but I guess we found out.
Thank you.
Yeah, I'm trying all the monocolor decks because they all seem really cool.
Nice.
Besides, I'm not sure if mono blue is a deck, but yeah, standard seems sweet.
Tempest Gin. Deck.
Oh yeah.
All the gins. Well, great work, Seth. You're of course through to day 2 with that victory, but we know you have your sights set even higher. So a few more rounds of sealed, and we'll see you back tomorrow for booster draft. Good luck tomorrow.
All right, thanks guys.
Thanks, Seth. So great stuff from him.
Yeah.
He learned a valuable lesson there. Siege Gang Commander, highly overrated. Don't even bother playing it. That's the lesson we took away from that round.
Is it? Yeah. He calls it a trap.
Yeah, it's a trap. All right, well, we've got a short break lined up for you. When we come back, though, we'll have Time Walk Magic here from the Winning In at GP Dallas Fort Worth. We'll see you then. Hello there. Welcome back to the booth here at Grand Prix Dallas Fort Worth. I'm Marshall Sutcliffe. That's Paulo Vitor Dominarosa. It's our pleasure to bring you live coverage here of Dominaria Sealed. We've got Time Walk Magic lined up for you. Let's head on down to that right now and see who we're going to be fighting, or who is going to be fighting.
Who are we fighting, Marshall?
We're not fighting anybody. We're on the same team. Roman Ewing versus Morgan Tomlinson. And it looks like we're underway here in game number 1. Both of these players, once again, are 5-0. We're in winning in here from Dallas, and that means that the winner of this match will advance to day 2, though they're still going to come back and have to play the last few rounds today. Should probably explain that for a minute, too, for everybody who's been hanging out for the duration here. A little bit different at these limited events. Basically, the idea is that we need to play as many rounds as we can play with Sealed up until we get to the booster draft portion. And the last 9 rounds of the tournament, all the way through to the top 8, are booster draft. And those need to be broken up into 3s because you do in-pod play for the booster drafts. 3 rounds, you get 1 winner from each of those. And what that means is that we don't actually stop playing on round 8 like we normally would at a GP this year. Instead, we're going to play 1 extra round. But the cut to day 2 still happens after that 8th round and before the 9th round. And then we play 1 bonus round with our Sealed decks today. We're going to be bringing you that. And then when the players go home, they're going to come back tomorrow morning and start drafting. So no more Sealed. We actually used to do it where they would come back in the morning to play that 9th round, but it gets a little messy if somebody like loses their deck or, you know, forgets it at the restaurant or whatever. There's a whole bunch of nonsense that can happen. So we're going to be playing it today.
Yeah, no, this way is much better.
Agreed.
I think. And also the day 2 of limited GPs is usually quite long because there are 2 drafts and a draft in the top 8. So you don't want to add another round to that.
Now, what do you think about the start here from our players? Looks like Morgan's got Sergeant at Arms and a Journey Mage on his side. On the other side, Roman has some decent stuff and some lower impact stuff. He's got the Dominant Trapper.
Oh, is that a Zahid?
Oh, boy.
Lamp?
That is Zahid there for Morgan Tomlinson. So Morgan takes the crown with the biggest, baddest creature on the battlefield by a lot, facing down Artificer's Assistant, Benalish Honor Guard, a Skittering Surveyor, and yes, there is a Dominant Trapper. Oh, here's Sarah Angel. Does not match up well against Zahid, though.
Well, but life totals are really in Roman's favor.
True.
So if Morgan attacks for 5 and takes, well, fights back from the Flyers is not something he wants to do. So that Angel is effectively, at least for the moment, trading with the Zahid until a player finds a removal spell of some sort. And of course, there is a Trapper in Roman's board, so if he ever draws a Historic spell, then the Gene can't block anyway, and he only needs 2 to close out the game. So I still like Roman's position, even though Morgan has what seems to be the better board. Now he needs 3 attacks.
Sarah Disciple now for Tomlinson, and a Short Sword is going to hit the battlefield as well. Where is he going to put it? Super Zahid?
Yeah.
That does change the clock.
It does.
It's 5 to 6, so it's a 3-turn clock, and with the Sarah Disciple back to keep that Artificer's Assistant at bay or maybe chump block the Sarah Angel for a turn, Morgan may be able to squeak out a win in this race, though. It does feel a little risky, doesn't it?
Yeah, it does, but at the same time, there is a Trapper in there, so what are you going to do? The more you wait, the less likely you are to be able to be blocked with Edging. And the Sarah's Disciple actually gives you, like, 2 extra turns, because it stops the Artificer's Apprentice from attacking, and then it chump blocks the Sarah Angel. So it having first strike is super relevant here.
Roman's in a real position here now. Though it feels like with Morgan kind of initiating a race.
Yeah, I don't know if Roman has a lot of options.
He doesn't have a lot of choice here.
Like, he has no good attacks other than the Sarah Angel, and the Sarah Angel has to attack. So it seems pretty... I don't know his hand, though. I think there's a land and there might be something else.
Yeah, I see it that way, too. Well, he's going to get in with Sarah Angel. And it looks like Morgan's going to cash in the Disciple immediately. He doesn't want to wait until Roman has some type of bounce spell or removal spell at a key turn.
So Roman had the chance to stop that from blocking, and he didn't do that. So that's...
He must have thought that Morgan wouldn't cash it in. You know, the general play pattern is to wait till the last minute, but Morgan probably looked at it and said, look, the best I'm going to get out of this thing is to cash this in. I'm going to do it immediately while I have the opening to do so.
But that's not necessarily true, because there is a 1/1 flyer that the Disciple is stopping.
Right.
I understand why you do it, because there is a Trapper in play, so you're afraid if I don't block now, this might just get tapped 2 turns in a row and I'll die. But now, Roman can attack for 5, and if Roman plays another flyer to block the Gene, then he gets to attack for 5 again and wins, which wouldn't be possible with that Disciple in play.
Interesting.
Of course, now that changes everything. The 4/4 Flying Drake is really going to put nail in the coffin here.
Yeah, this seems very good for Morgan Tomlinson, as now he has a creature that can trade for Sarah Angel if Roman even offers. And Morgan seems to be fully in the lead.
Yeah, he does. I don't really see... Like, unless Roman has something fantastic in his hand that we're not seeing, his position definitely does not look good. Yeah, this block is basically forced, because if you don't block, then they can't just block the following turn. So if your opponent's attacking with a Vigilance creature, you almost always have to block.
Yeah.
There isn't much you can do.
By the way, chat points out quite astutely here, it's Sarah Angel versus Mahamodi Jin.
Oh, yeah.
Welcome back to the 90s, they said.
Oh, except this Mahamod is a lot better.
Yeah, it really is. Once it's on the battlefield, it's the same, but it can come down a lot sooner.
Yeah,
and this is a forced block here from Robin.
Yeah, it is. And it's funny that I was going to say, well, this Mahamod is actually legendary, which, used to be a drawback, but in this set is actually a good thing. So it's even better because it's legendary.
Strictly better. By the way, you ever want to see the chat have a big argument, just say the words strictly better and just leave it. You can just walk away.
Okay, we should try that.
Yeah.
But what is your definition? No, seriously.
My definition is the same one that they use in R&D, which is that if it obsoletes something that already exists.
So not like, well, if my opponent mind slavers me.
Right. I don't use the English words for that. I use it as a useful term rather than...
Because, Lightning Bolt is strictly better than Shock. But if your opponent has Meddling Mage naming Lightning Bolt, then you'd rather have Shock. So is it strictly better, really?
Here they go.
Yep.
Wow, you know how to do this really well, Paulo. Now I know where all those arguments in the testing Pro Tour houses start.
Oh, it's not me. I mean, sometimes
it's you.
me.
It's you. You just set the seed, and then you just go eat ice cream and watch the world burn.
Yeah, I have a lot of arguments with Ben Stark.
Oh, yeah, I've seen you guys go at it.
Those are great.
Those are pretty good. You guys are both similar-minded, too, where it's not like a personal thing. You don't get angry, but at the same time, you don't have a lot of give-up in either of you. So
yeah, it's like I don't get angry, but you're stupid. I'm not.
Yeah.
I'm not backing down from my view, which is perfect, and yours is wrong.
Oh, man. So that was Morgan Tomlinson. Finish things off with On Sarah's Wings, just for the extra little rub-ins. Tragic Poet on turn 2 here from Roman Ewing. Doesn't look super great. But if he can combine that with a Saga at some point down the line, he might be able to generate some value.
Yeah, and he has 2 Tragic Poets and 2 History of Benalias.
Okay.
That's a really good Saga to bring back.
Yeah. He's going to need another one, though. Or he's going to need one of those.
And a Plains.
Yeah, and a Plains as well. This is going to start to get a little sketchy for him. The Tragic Poet has such a small impact on the board on its own. If he's forced to kind of live with that as a card for a while, he could fall too far behind, even to a card like Sergeant at Arms here. Ooh, Plains off the top. What do you got?
That's also a Lyra in his hand. That is a lot of mythics.
Jeez, that's
the same card. That's convenient.
He has 2 History of Benalia and a Lyra?
Yeah, he does.
Whew.
Yeah, his deck is really good.
Well, he's going to help stabilize the board a bit here, at least theoretically, with his Drake. Urz's Tome, though, is going to trigger the Disciple. And that's going to prompt an attack from Morgan with both of his creatures. Roman with an opportunity to trade, or at least go for a trade with the Sergeant-at-Arms, but decides not to.
Yeah,
the Sarah Disciple with 2 power and first strike. No real good blocks there.
I mean, let's see if there are answers to the Lyra in Morgan's deck.
Yeah, blue-white. There are answers, but there's not a ton of them.
There's one seal away.
Okay.
There's the Zahid, which outclasses it.
Yes.
Surprisingly enough, it's one of the few. 3 bounce spells to Blink of an Eye and Academy Journey Mage buy some time, but won't
no
win the
Blessed
game.
Light, no Deep Freeze.
No. There's a Deep Freeze in the sideboard, but
Sideboard?
I don't think he saw anything that would make him want to bring it in.
Surprised to see it start in the board at all.
Yeah, I think it really depends on what your deck looks like.
Okay.
If you have a lot of 3-power attackers in the ground, then it's pretty mediocre, but
Sure.
he seems to have a lot of flyers, so
I like it in the Flyers deck
I
a
would,
lot.
I would maybe lean towards playing it. I think blue-white is the color combination that plays it the most, because it's usually flyers of some sort.
Chat's having an argument on if Morgan's APAC lands are strictly better than the deck box lands on the other side from Roman.
No.
Even Sentry now from Morgan. Yeah, I would like to see that Deep Freeze in the deck for him, I think. You're playing Sarah Disciple, you're playing Aven Sentry. Ooh.
Yeah, it does look somewhat like a Deep Freeze deck.
Interesting. So he found a history of Benalia off the top there. And he still has a Tragic Poet kind of at the ready.
Yeah, he really wanted a land instead. It looks like he's just going to play a flyer.
Yeah, I like that. I mean, the ability to trade off for the Aven Sentry seems much more important. He can mess around with the whole Saga synergies later.
Yeah, because you look at your hand and you think, well, is this a spot where I need to win the game or I need to survive? And he really just needs to survive. The cards he has in hand are going to win him the game. So I agree. Like, if you had to pressure your opponent, if you didn't have a Lyra in your hand or a Sarah Ranger in your hand, I believe he has both of those, then I could just see playing the Saga and trying to attack.
Urza's Tome's going to get activated. Memorial to Genius is a land drop here for Tomlinson.
How do you like Memorial of Genius?
I've never activated one.
Oh, is that because you never play it?
No,
or because you've never had the chance?
I would totally play it. I think it's
Okay.
good. I've played Memorial to Folly more than any of the others, and I've liked it a lot.
Yeah, and I
The
think
black one.
Yeah, I think that might be the best.
Mhm.
Well, or the green one.
You like the green
is
one?
also quite good. Yeah, I think so.
I
I
mean,
like
the blue
all of
one's
them
supposed to
except
be
for the
good.
red.
Yeah, the red's terrible. White one's fine, though not usually what you want in the late game, but still, you'll take it. The blue one seems really good to me. I mean, it's a lot of mana, but you know how these games can get to the point where you just need action.
Yeah, no, that is true, especially in this format.
Yeah.
So I like he played Star Ranger here instead of playing the Lyra because he believes that this will draw a removal spell already. So if Morgan has Blast Light or Embolus's glitches, they will target the Star Angel. So I like that because he's not in enough of... He's under no pressure. He took no damage last turn. So I'm okay with this decision. I think it's actually quite good. You don't want to risk getting your Lyra stolen and losing the game because of that. You're in no rush to play it.
Morgan, by the way, seems to be digging. He's activated Urza's Tome the last 2 turns, hasn't really done much else. Gotten rid of a few lands, perhaps flooding out a bit. Curious to see if Roman goes for Lyra here. Yes, Lyra Dawnbringer's going to hit the battlefield. And this is, this is one of the best rares, if not the best rare in the set.
Yeah, it's definitely in the class of highly unbeatable.
Yes. And you can kind of group those together. There's not that many in a given set, though. Dominaria does have a fair bit of them, but Lyra Dawnbringer, if left unchecked, is an absolute dominator. And, we've been talking about it in terms of mini game style cards that force you to play a different game, and that is absolutely what Lyra Dawnbringer does to the battlefield. Morgan now has to find an answer for Lyra, else he will simply lose the game.
Yeah, it is the type of card that, if you don't deal with it, it doesn't matter what else you're doing.
Right.
You're not going to beat that card. There's no going around. There's no racing. There's no nothing. You either deal with it or you lose.
Right.
Or you play Zahid. That is the one alternative that the format offers you.
That's right. And interestingly, like we talked about History of Benalia, which, by the way, he found both copies of now. So we could see that 3 times over the course of this game if Lyra doesn't clean up this game before that ends. But, that's a good example of a very strong card that does not force you into this mini game where if you do not deal with the history, you lose the game. It simply gives you a strong advantage on the battlefield rather than dominating in the way that a card like Lyra does.
Yeah, and guess who just became a knight to be put by History of Benalia? It's not Lyra. It's the Drake, but still,
Oh, it's the Drake, okay.
Yeah.
And let's remember the Sarah Angel's also getting pumped from Lyra, right?
Oh, yeah. It's easy to forget that Lyra has another ability.
Yeah. What does she pump, all angels?
Yeah, all angels get +1 was an in-life link. It's really good with Shalai. I recommend that. If you have both, play.
Oh, but the door was open there, and Morgan Tomlinson is going to jump through it with Seal away.
Yeah, and we might see a double block here on the Sarah Angel.
Still leaving the annoying Drake with Dub on it.
Yeah, there isn't a blink of an eye. I don't even know what's going to target.
Yeah, of course, the problem with blinking of an eye in the Drake itself is that Roman is 1 land away from being able to kick it.
Yeah, so it's basically the same thing as that with Dub.
Another option that you have is to blink of an eye the Dub itself and then trade, but of course then the Dub's going to come back down and be a problem. There's really no easy way out of it.
Yeah, and you know what I love about Roman's pool? Like, there are always those pools where you open then and you have 1 good card in each color and a couple of gold cards, and you're like, well, I don't know what color I'm going to be. This is so hard to build. If you see 3 great mythics in the same color, you're like, okay, I'm white. What else do I play?
Yeah.
It
makes that easy.
Yeah, it's so convenient. It's like, yep, this color is locked in.
Yeah.
I'll just play a bunch of bears with it or tragic poets, and it'll be fine. Those are perfect cards. And then I just have to choose a second color. So it really makes the deck building process much easier.
Well, since Lyra's gone, we actually might see this History of Benalia marathon here. This is going to be the long documentary on Benalia, because we could actually see 3 copies of this card. If Morgan Tomlinson can keep these knights at bay, it's going to be history, and more history from Roman Ewing.
Yeah, and even 1 history is already pretty tough.
Definitely. Morgan using the secret mode there on Zahid to tap an equipment, which don't actually get tapped really at any point during the course of a normal game.
Yeah, that is true. Except when people attack, because they always tap it.
I always do, but it's technically not tapped.
I would have maybe liked to see an attack there from Morgan before he played as Zahid, because I don't think Roman would have blocked with the Sarah Angel, and I don't think Roman will attack. So it's kind of like 4 damage that he would have gotten for free. And if the Zahid is dying, he's not winning anyway. So in a lot of spots, you're like, well, if my opponent kills my blocker, I want to have a second blocker. But I don't think you can win if Zahid dies. So I would have attacked there.
This is ridiculous now. There's a second History of Benalia. No, they're not legendary. Oh, another tragic poet. We can see 4 histories of New Benalia. I hesitate to think that would happen, though, because I think that Morgan will be dead before the 4th one triggers.
They're really good if you can play them both in the same turn. Your knights get really big. And, there is still a Drake in Roman's hand that we know about and Morgan knows about.
That's right.
So
Morgan should play Call the Cavalry now. Roman can just laugh, say, nice cavalry, bro. Got a bigger one. Are we going to see this Memorial to Genius go? Yeah.
Just main phase?
Yeah, he looted and then just went for it.
I mean, for that to be good, you have to draw. I guess he had no cards in hand, so it didn't matter. No, he did.
He had 0.
Yeah, he played a land.
He played the land in order to use it. So he had 0.
Okay.
2. This one's going to ultimate. And remember, it doesn't care that which knights they are. All knights get +2/+1 until end of turn.
Oh, yeah, it's really good in multiples.
That one has Summoning Sickness, but all other 5 of them.
You know, there are some cards that you would not play many of, even though they're good. We were talking about, like, I think Ewing had a deck with 3 Multanis. And we're talking about, well, how many Multanis would you play if you had access to infinite?
Yeah, because 5
answer
is
was
too many.
4.
Yeah, 4 sounds
I'd
good.
play
Yeah.
4. But History of Benalia, you'd play 23. Right? If your deck was just History of Benalia and Plains, you'd be so happy.
You'd never lose.
Like, there's no limit to.
Yep.
So this is the type of card you want to open multiples of. But by the way, Reed's at 8, I believe. He'd play 8 Multanis.
He said he would play 8 Multanis?
I think it might have been 6, but it was 6 or 8.
So instead of spending the 2 mana and the returning lands, he just wants to cast another one if it does.
Oh, yeah.
That's interesting.
I'm with you. I'm with 4.
Yeah, I think 4 is about where I'd want to be. It's also a 6-drop. Like, there's not that many decks that I want 8, 6
Yeah,
mana
no, I
spells.
believe he said 6. I'd be no first here, but I still think 6 is too many.
Yeah. Well, Morgan sent one of those knights to its doom, and a couple of others got chumped or traded. He got in for a lot, I think 9 damage. No, it looks like it was 8. Yeah, 8. And there's History of New Benalia. Oh, boy. I can tell you what, Morgan has had enough of this history lesson.
That's where you pack it in. Okay, this is enough. It wasn't enough before. You know, now
by the way, that
me.
OG Tragic Poet's still sitting there. He's just like, didn't even need it.
Oh, yeah, the turn 1.
Played it on turn 1. It never attacked or blocked. He never activated it, just showing off.
Yeah.
Just taking poetic notes about the history. My goodness. Well, Roman Ewing schooled Morgan Tomlinson pretty good there, but we're going to get a game number 3. Remember, the winner of this game is going to make it safely into day 2, but still have a few more rounds to play here on day 1. Boy.
So I'm seeing that Roman has 2 Skittering Surveyors in his deck and no splash. That takes a lot for me to not splash with 2 of those.
Definitely.
That's some incredible restraint. Yes, the better your deck is, the less you want to splash.
Sure.
And his deck certainly seems very good, so there's no need to risk it. It has a couple of, double-costed cards, and so I completely understand the decision, but it does take a lot of restraint to not splash in this Roman with 2 of the best fixer that he's already playing anyway.
A little bit better of a board here for Morgan. Those life totals can't be correct.
Yeah, they're not. I believe they're both at 20.
Yeah.
A healthy 20.
Skittering Surveyor still making sure that Roman continues to hit his land drops while still developing his board in some way, even if he didn't end up going for the splash. Ooh, Benalish Marshall.
Yeah, that is a strong card.
It is, and blue-white doesn't have a lot of ways to deal with cards like that.
No, there is a deep freeze
That would help.
that Roman is actually playing, unlike Morgan, who isn't playing his. But yeah, I believe that's about it for things that actually permanently deal with it. There's 1 Academy Journey Mage, a Time of Ice, but those are only temporary.
Passes the turn back to Roman Ewing. Roman with a grip full of cards plays land number 5. And is it going to be Lyra Dawnbringer?
I think it has to be. Like, normally, what he did last game, waiting to set it up, tried to bait a removal spell. Now, one, his opponent already knows he has it, so likely to save a removal spell anyway. And two, he's under so much pressure. He can't afford to just do nothing here.
That's right. Syncopate would have been a bit of a heartbreaker there, but
what is he going to do?
Morgan doesn't have it.
Yeah.
Yeah, he would have had to play one of his other mythics instead, like History of Dominaria. It's tough to be Roman Ewing.
Yeah, Morgan has the heat in hand, but no artifact or no 6th land, apparently. So it doesn't get to being played just yet.
Ooh, just has to pass the turn back to Roman.
Yeah, that is not optimal. Well, there is an Emballist Glitches in Morgan's hand. Morgan's list. I think it's in his hand, but there's also an Invoke the Divine for Roman, so that's going to be very short-lived.
Yeah, Morgan's going to need to find a second island here if he's going to be able to deploy that. In the meantime, Lyra Dawnbringer's going to do her thing.
No, it has to pay 1 to attack.
Yes, that's right. So let's not forget that, gents. We have no way to inform them of this because it is a time walk match.
Yeah.
It looks like he just...
no one's actually paid for that card yet, I believe. In all the matches we were covering,
no.
It has a hidden text.
Time of Ice is the play from Roman Ewing, a card that I like quite a bit these days.
Yeah, I do too. All the sagas ended up being better than I thought.
Yeah, they're very good.
Time of Ice, Eldest Reborn, Song of Freyalise, those are all really, really good cards.
Okay, there, look at that. They realized. Because he decided to tap Baird down, he's like, wait, you're supposed to pay.
Yeah, that was a big mistake. Should have tapped something else.
So Baird's going to get tapped. That is the most mana-intensive card outside of Benalis Marshall. I'm sure that Roman will be sending that one back to hand as well. Morgan, had he hit some land drops, could actually leverage Time of Ice to get that Drake back in hand by attacking not this turn but next.
Yeah,
Though
I
I
think we're
suppose
actually
Roman could trade. But
going to see this Time of Ice tapping the Drake here.
Oh, okay.
I would have tapped the Drake because then I could attack with my Drake.
Sure.
I don't really... your opponent has 4 planes, so you're not bottlenecking them on white mana anyway. And both cost 3. So I would rather just get my attack in.
No, that makes sense.
Though there is an Academy Journey Mage in Roman's hand, he could just play that and bounce the Drake anyway. But then next turn, the Drake is going to be able to block, whereas with the Time of Ice, you stop the Drake for 2 turns.
Ooh, is this a seal way? No.
Oh.
Oh, and this is Unwind to counter Blink of an Eye from Rowan Ewing. He protects his Lyra just for the turn even. It could be a big deal. It's another 5 damage to Morgan.
Yeah, and doesn't have to recast it. But I'm not sure he actually has something he would rather cast instead. Like there's a Devonin, the Trapper. Oh yeah, also has to pay 1 to attack.
And there it is. Academy Journey Mage to send back the Academy Drake. Nope, doesn't untap either. Time of Ice, better than you'd think, in the sense that a lot of people, when they first saw it, thought you tap a thing, then you can tap a different thing, or maybe the same one again. But they actually stay tapped for as long as you control Time of Ice.
Yeah.
Ooh.
Yeah, so we're going to see Bolus's Clutches most likely, but there is an Invoke the Divine in Roman's hand, so that happens. Oh, actually, it would just bounce with the Time of Ice, so it's tapped.
Oh.
So even if he didn't have the Invoke the Divine, it would just be bounced with the Time of Ice.
Yeah, and I think that Roman is actually pointing that out now. I mean, it's too late for Morgan Tomlinson to make any differences in his play, but...
I mean, why would you point it out now?
Yeah.
Just trigger the ability. Oh, he's asking if all the tapped creatures or just the ones that were targeted?
Yeah, and it's
all the tapped creatures.
It is all tapped creatures.
Even
if you can
yours.
tap your own creatures somehow after your draw step...
If you have Icy Manipulator and your opponent has Time of Ice, you can bounce one of their creatures.
That's right.
It's actually relevant. Yeah.
It really is. And
so,
it's going to be extremely relevant here because Morgan simply doesn't get to keep Lyra.
Yeah, so Morgan couldn't have done that. Morgan had to play Zahid and then steal the Lyra after Time of Ice left play.
Yeah, that timing mistake from Morgan Tomlinson is going to cost him big time. He has no board. He's going to take 6 damage down to 4, and Roman can even just safely redeploy Lyra if he'd like.
Yeah, and we know there is an Invoke the Divine in Roman's hand, so he would never really have stolen the Lyra, but he doesn't know that. He's probably pretty upset.
Yeah, I agree. First GP of the new format here, and these new cards can be quite a puzzle to figure out, especially a brand new card type like a Saga.
Yeah, and it's the kind of card that you wouldn't expect it to bounce your own creatures,
no.
But you would. It's reasonable to understand that it bounces all the tap ones, because you just can't attack into it.
Yep. And there's the Heat to try to stabilize the board, but as you can see, that's lethal on board for Roman Ewing. And you can just send in the team, and the game will be over. He's got Trapper plus Benalia or something. Yeah.
I mean, I don't think he needs anything.
No, he doesn't need any of it. He had literal lethal on board, but that's going to do it. Roman Ewing wins the match 2-1. He gives a little thumbs up to his friends on the sidelines there, but I'll tell you what, I'm not surprised to see him having won that.
Yeah.
Because
thumbs
that
up to
pool,
whoever registered my pool.
Yeah. That pool
Thank you.
Oh, man.
But let's not downplay it. He could have played any color if he chose the right one. He had a choice in the matter.
You really think he had a choice in the matter? Looks like we've got more time walk. Hey, we've got more time walk for you, Magic, as well, because, we go right up until they announce the pairings for the next round of live action, and we like to try to fill up the screen with as much match as we can. And let's get game 3 of Matt Resnick playing against Thiago Saporito.
Ooh, Thiago.
Your countryman.
Yeah, my countryman. I saw his deck. His deck is wild. He's playing 4 colors with a bunch of legends, 2 legendary sorceries, and then he boards into a different 4-color combination because he didn't like his first one.
Oh, Thiago, I love it.
Yeah.
And, of course, he starts things off with the most boring card, Baloth Gorger.
Yeah, and looking at his deck, you wouldn't think it's weird, right?
Uh-huh.
Until he plays in Bolus's Clutches and Yagmoth's Last Offering, and that,
What did he play there? Goblin Barrage? Sure. That was on Quende?
Yeah, it's
Pride
another card that's grown a lot on me.
Quende?
Yeah. I thought it was just, 4-mana 2/2 double striker, which is medium. Mm-hmm. But there are actually a lot of first strikers in the format, including a card that gives all your creatures first strike.
That's right. Yeah, Warlord's Fury. By the way, look at this. He is going to get extreme value off that Mending of Dominaria.
Oh, yeah.
He hit 2 more swamps off of his mountain, forest open. Now it's going to be islands, 3 swamps.
So he didn't play the Baloth.
Yeah, what's going on here?
I don't know. I'm very confused.
He'll let us know in a moment.
Even if he has Syncopate, he could just play the Baloth and still keep, 3 mana. Okay.
He just wanted to use, I guess, his colors of mana? What was the thinking there?
Well, he played Garna, and then the Baloth is going to have haste now.
Sure, but yeah, okay. I guess he certainly didn't know that Sergeant at Arms was coming. Against a single creature, that probably looks quite good. So he's going to go Slimefoot. This deck is great. And he plays the Thallid, the Deathbloom Thallid after that. They do have haste, but he can't take advantage.
And Garna and Mending of Dominaria are a great combo. Because if the Mending of Dominaria puts the creatures in the graveyard, Garna will bring them back. It's other than known intuitive thing, it works. Afakari goes from anywhere.
That's right.
Not just from play.
Garna has a lot going on. She's actually
a
lot of modes.
Also pulls you in a lot of different directions.
Mm-hmm.
I understand, I want to bring my creatures back and then attack with them in the same turn.
Yeah.
But at the same time, it's like, well, this is a super controller's grindy mode. And this is, Goblin War Chief.
Right.
So.
Yeah, it is interesting because I have seen people just say, end step Garna, just nothing. And then just play something big and be attack you with both of these. And people are like, whoa, this board's way different than I thought. But I've also seen them set up, value scenarios, just, trading off a couple of creatures and getting them back, that kind of thing. Adventurous Impulse now from Thiago, who has fallen down to a precarious 1 life. He's got quite a bit. Is he attacking?
Yeah, he is.
He's dead to the flyer anyway. Is that the deal?
To any number of them, I assume.
To any of the flyers, I should have said, yeah.
Yeah, he could have,
Nope.
Nothing.
He was just going for it. And look at him look through. Oh, there he was. Jaya's immolating Blaze? Inferno. That's what he wanted to see. Said I could have killed all your flyers, I swear, but he was a few cards
there's
up.
a funny story with that Jaya's immolating Inferno.
Yeah.
Sigrist was playing, and then he calls Fight with Fire Banefire.
Okay.
And then he said, he was talking to his teammates, he said, well, I have to play this way because my opponent has Banefire. Then the guy's like, wait, how do you know I have Jai's Immolating Inferno in hand? And he's like, well, I didn't. But
he's talking about the other
Banefire, yeah. And the guy's like, are you looking at my hand? Like,
awkward.
so suspicious. Yeah.
No.
It was pretty fun.
That's pretty bad. All right, well, that's going to do it for our live coverage here. We're going to come back, though, with more Magic right after these messages.